Sawadee hello and welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha. Today is our group learning program where I'm going to be helping you to understand chapter 6 of our book, which is titled The Middle Way, Walking the Middle Way. We're going to be starting with meditation, but then afterwards, I'm going to share a talk on this particular topic because this is a topic that you hear about with the teachings of the Buddha, that people talk about the middle way or walking the middle way. But what does that mean? What does it mean to be in the middle or walk the middle way? That's what I'm going to help you to understand. This is actually a very simple teaching. This is probably one of the most simple teachings that you'll ever hear from the Buddha. But when you understand it, the profoundness of this teaching is actually because it is so simple. And when you apply it to your day-to-day life, it'll have drastic impact in all parts of your life. So welcome to all of you, whether you're joining for the first time or you're joining regularly. And at the same time, I'd like to invite you for meditation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some chanting in order to ease us into the meditation. You guys are welcome to join in with the chanting. At the temple there at Wat Tung, I have chanting sheets on the cabinet that you guys are welcome to join in. And for those of you guys that are online, you can access these chanting sheets by going to buddhadailywisdom.com, click on free books, and down towards the middle of that page, you'll see the chanting there. After the chanting, I'm going to come in with some guidance where I'm essentially going to be teaching you or instructing you how to meditate while we're actually meditating. Then there's going to be a period of time where it's just quiet and we're all meditating. Then we're going to come out of that with some more chanting. And that's where I'll start today's class, helping you guys to understand this topic of the middle way. So if you'd like to take a position, either seated, lying, or standing, you can sit in any of these, seated, lying, standing. There's even a walking position. You're welcome to meditate however you like. I'm going to do the chanting, and then I'll come back in with the guidance afterwards. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Wat Tung Bhagavanang Abhivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakato Rokawitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusrang Oto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect. Just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath. Either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเกวาโอตังมหาเกวันนังอภิวาเตมิสวากขาโตมหาเกวตาตัมโมดามังนามาสามิสุปฏิปันโนมะเควะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามิ นับโมรัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนับโมรัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนับโมรัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหะเกวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารนังสัมมุโนสกาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสรังโอโตภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to all of you guys. Nice to see everyone in class today, whether you're joining at the temple or you're joining online. Welcome to all of you guys. I'd like to start off with just apologizing for my voice. This body is a bit sick here, so I'm experiencing some impermanence, but I'm very dedicated to sharing these teachings with all of you guys. So that's why I'm still here to share the teachings of the Buddha with you guys. What I'm going to be sharing with you guys is a teaching called the Middle Way, walking the middle way. This is a very profound teaching, in my opinion. It's the simplest, most easiest teaching that the Buddha has ever taught, in my opinion. But because of that simplicity and application of applying this teaching in your day-to-day life, it makes it very profound. It'll probably only take me all of maybe 10 or 15 minutes to actually teach it to you. But then when you apply it to your day-to-day life, this is where you're really going to experience significant benefits. I'm going to be sharing this with you, and then I'm going to stop at the end and see what questions you guys have related to this particular teaching. If you're in Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, if you're at the temple too, you can actually ask questions. If you're at the temple, there's microphones there that all you need to do is get a microphone, press the gray button, and you'll be able to ask your questions. You'll see the lights come on the microphone. You can just hold it up to your chin and we'll be able to hear you. And then when you're not using it, if you could turn it off, that'll be helpful so that we don't get feedback through the speakers. And then for anybody who's in Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, you can ask your questions by putting that into the comment section. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and ask any and all questions that you like. So this teaching of the middle way is something that you hear people talking about with the teachings of the Buddha a lot. The Buddha talked about this middle way, and people might say, oh, you're not in the middle, or you need to practice the middle way. But what is this middle way, and where did it actually come from? Well, at one point during the life of the Buddha, there was a particular student who was an ordained female. And this woman asked the Buddha a question. And this particular woman actually played an instrument prior to ordaining. She played an instrument called a lute. This is a sitar, but it's a similar instrument. It's a stringed instrument. And this individual asked the Buddha a question, and he was trying to help her to understand this middle way and how to bring the mind to the middle. And one of the things he asked her is, he said, if your instrument string is too loose and you pluck the string, does it play beautiful music? And she says, no, it doesn't play beautiful music. And he said, well, what about if you tune it too tight and the string is too tight and you pluck the string? Does it play beautiful music? Does it play the way it's intended to play? And she said, no, the instrument doesn't play beautiful music. And he says, well, what if you tune it just right to the middle and you pluck the string? Does it play beautiful music? Does it play the way it's intended to play? And she said, yeah, that's exactly what I need to do, essentially, is tune the strings right to the middle. And that's when it plays beautiful music, the way the instrument is intended to play. And the Buddha says your mind is exactly the same way, that if it's too tight or too loose, that it doesn't perform the way it needs to perform. That if you're holding on to things really, really tightly, then your mind is going to experience anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy, all these different feelings that the Buddha is guiding you to be able to eliminate. The mind's going to experience those because you're holding on to things really tight. You're not going to experience the peace and the joy that is the enlightened mental state. But if you were all the way on the other side, where you were kind of lackadaisical and lazy and dull and lethargic about things, then you're not going to experience peace and joy there either. It's only when you come to the middle that you're actually applying the teachings of the Buddha in a way that your mind can actually be peaceful and joyful. It's really challenging for people to be able to see this middle way and to actually practice it. Because what the mind does in the unenlightened state is it's craving. It's having desire, wants, and expectations. And it's chasing after things. And if it gets what it wants, it gets happy and excited. It gets pleasant feelings. But if it doesn't get what it wants, it gets painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. And if the mind's out there in the world chasing after things, if you're not doing that, then the mind will typically swing all the way to the other side where you're dull and lethargic or exhausted. So if you go out in your day and you're having craving, desire, attachment, and things are going your way and you're getting what you want, you'll be like, oh, this was such a good day. Oh, it was so wonderful. But if you go out into the world with all this craving, desire, attachment, and your mind's not getting what it wants, you'll be exhausted and tired. You'll say, this was a horrible day. And your mind will be in this exhausted state where you just might feel like there's bricks on your feet or bricks on your shoulder, and you're kind of dragging this burden through life. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. You can actually practice the middle way where you're not chasing after things, but you're not dull and lethargic either, that you come to the middle. And whether this is related to your relationships, your finances, pursuing your business life, your career, whether it's maintaining your home or any kind of thing like this, you can practice the middle way and you can apply this teaching. Because let's just take, for example, like maintenance of your home. If you were craving for your home to look a certain way and you were obsessive about maintaining your home, you're going to be looking at every little tiny thing in your home, and any tiny thing that is not going correctly or you find to be something that you're not interested in occurring. If you were obsessive about maintaining your home, you're not going to experience peace and joy. Maybe you're going around vacuuming, every day, every 4 hours, you're vacuuming to get dust and dirt out of your house. Maybe you're, going around and looking at each little detail in your house and every little tiny scratch or every little nick of paint. You're just obsessively worried about that. You're not going to experience peace and joy as it relates to maintaining your house. But if you were all the way on the other side, where you could care less about what's going on in your house and you just let it slowly deteriorate, you're not going to experience peace and joy there either. So you need to come to the middle where you understand that, hey, I need to look at these things. I need to maintain this home. I need to make wise decisions. But you need to do it from the middle way, where you're not doing it obsessively, but you're not all the way on the other side either. Or let's take something like spending time with your friends or family. If you were to spend an exhaustive amount of time where you were always spending so much time with people, and any time you weren't spending time with your family, you were worried or anxious or had stress and things like this, you're not going to experience the peace and joy. But if you were all the way on the other side, where you could care less about your social life and who you spend time with, and you just haphazardly walk through life spending time with anybody and everybody, then you're not going to experience peace and joy there either. You need to come to the middle where you're making wise decisions about who to spend time with. But not only are you spending time doing social things, but you're spending time based on your career and advancing your career and your profession. Same thing if you were pursuing your profession, where you were just working, maybe 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day. You're not going to experience peace and joy there because you're not in the middle. But if you were all the way on the other side, where you could care less about your career and you just allowed yourself to be unemployed for exhaustive amounts of time, multiple years, you didn't have any way of accumulating any kind of resources or skills to be able to improve your career, you're not going to experience peace and joy there either. So you need to come to the middle where you apply effort and energy towards building your skills and building a career. So you can apply this middle way to anything and everything as part of your life. Even something like generosity. We practice generosity as part of this path, where you're giving and sharing more than is strictly required in any given situation without any expectation of anything in return. Well, if you were practicing generosity excessively, that means you're giving away so much of your time, effort, energy, and resources that you don't even have what you need in order to be able to sustain your life. But if you were all the way on the other side, where you weren't practicing any generosity at all, then you would be quite selfish and your mind would be holding on to things very tightly. So even with something like generosity, a wholesome quality, you need to find the middle. This is where sometimes people have so much worry and anxiety about the world that they're having this, anxiety and worry and stress about the world because they're holding on to the world and wanting the world to be a certain way. But if you were all the way on the other side where you could care less about what's happening in the world and you were indifferent to other people's suffering, that's not going to produce peace and joy there either. So you need to come to the middle with all of these different things that you're pursuing as part of this path to enlightenment. And once you get to the middle, you need to be able to understand that that middle is going to change, is going to shift. So if we're walking on this path and we're headed towards this mountain, it's not a straight shot right to the mountain. It's not like you get in the middle and you find the middle way, and then it's just a straight shot and you just stay on that path all the way through. Instead, the middle way is constantly shifting. So for example, using generosity. Again, if somebody was practicing generosity excessively, then they don't have the resources that they need for their life. But if they were never practicing generosity, they're quite selfish. But if you can come to the middle where you can find a way to practice generosity with the people around you, now you find the middle. And let's just say somebody is quite wealthy and quite rich. And let's just say that they're giving $2,000 a month away to charity. Maybe they're supporting some orphanage, right? And they're giving $2,000 a month to an orphanage. Well, now that's their middle way because they're quite rich and they're quite wealthy and they found the middle and they're walking towards this mountain on this straight path. But now let's just say something shifts in their life. Let's just say their children go to university or their parents become ill and they need to start spending money to be able to take care of their parents. Or let's just say a tree falls on their house. Some impermanence comes along and now they need to spend a lot of resources to be able to repair their house. Well, that middle for their generosity is going to shift, that they can no longer pay or give $2,000 a month to charity. Maybe they need to shift that. They maybe need to bring it down to 500 or 200 or 100 or something like that. Because if you stay locked in with this 2,000 US dollars that you're giving away every single month, if you stay locked into that and you think that that's going to be the middle and you're just going to walk straight towards this mountain, then when it starts shifting and things start changing in your life because of impermanence, things will change in your life. You're going to just stay locked into this $2,000. And now you're maybe exhausting your resources. You're not in the middle anymore. Your mind has shifted. So you need to be able to find the middle and then realize it's going to shift. It's going to change. So maybe right now in your life, you're spending a lot of time with your friends and you're having social experiences where you're going out with your friends a lot. And maybe your career is just kind of like going along just fine. But maybe at a certain point, you need to shift, and now you need to spend more time on your career and less time with your friends. And this is going to make sure that you're in the middle. And you're the only one that can determine whether or not you're in the middle. The way that you'll know, excuse me, the way that you're going to know that you're in the middle is that when you get to the middle and you're practicing the middle way, it's like your mind takes a breath of fresh air. When you're not in the middle, things will seem very congested. They'll feel very convoluted. They'll feel very difficult. That you'll be trying to implement certain decisions in your life and you'll just keep stumbling over your feet. And you'll feel like you're never quite where you need to be. You're never quite where you are interested in being. And you're just kind of like, really struggling in the world to kind of walk forward in life. So if you're noticing that you're having trouble walking forward in life and it feels like a real struggle and you're almost trying to force things, you're not in the middle, right? So when you come to the middle, when you bring it towards the middle, whatever the decision is, if you're holding on to things too tight, if you kind of let that go a bit and come to the middle, or if you're holding on to things too loosely and you need to come to the middle, as you come to the middle, this is where your mind takes a breath of fresh air. And it feels like, you feel at ease. So if I was walking down this path towards this mountain and I was walking really, 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 really fast, and I start breathing heavy and I'm sweating and now it's getting cold because I'm sweating, I'm not in the middle. The body's not comfortable. The mind's not comfortable. I'm walking really fast. My feet are starting to hurt. I'm not in the middle, right? And now there's no breath of fresh air, that it feels like a struggle. But then if I was on the other side where I was walking so slow and I'm not even going to get to my goal or objective here of actually reaching this mountain. But if I come to the middle, there's like a perfect pace where it's just like, this is perfect. I can walk down this path. I can look at the view. I'm making forward progress. I can get air into my lungs. My feet aren't hurting. This feels really nice, right? So this is how you'll know that you're in the middle, whether it's with your maintenance of your home, whether it's pursuing your career, whether it's practicing generosity, whether it's spending time with your friends or your family. It'll just be like, there's the breath of fresh air. The mind feels comfortable because it's in the middle. There's comfort there. And now you need to be able to observe that middle and stay there. As things are shifting and changing in your life, you're going to need to shift and change and be able to stay in the middle. And the thing that's going to help you to be able to stay in the middle is the Eightfold Path. I taught this over the last 2 weeks in this program, where chapter 4 and chapter 5 is the Eightfold Path. This is the core central teaching of the Buddha. When he talked about the middle way and he was asked, what is the middle way? He said the Eightfold Path is the middle way. So if you learn and practice this teaching closely, it's going to help you to bring your mind to the middle, where when you're not practicing the middle way, then you're not practicing this Eightfold Path. Your mind is not going to be in the middle and you're not going to have that breath of fresh air. So for example, the Buddha teaches right speech. He teaches to eliminate lying, slander, harsh speech, and frivolous speech. If you're not practicing that, where you are lying, you are gossiping and slandering, you are having harsh and bitter and hostile speech, or you have frivolous speech where you're just yada, 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 and you're not actually purposeful and beneficial in your speech, you're not in the middle. And you'll see your mind's jumping all over the place. And the same thing with all these other teachings here. If you're not practicing each one of these teachings, then your mind's not in the middle. So in the unenlightened state, an individual is not in the middle. You're not actually fully practicing the middle way 100% of the time until your mind's actually enlightened. But on your way to enlightenment, wherever you see that you're not in the middle, that you're holding on to things too tight, or you're holding on to things too loosely. You need to notice that with your mindfulness or awareness of mind, and then you need to apply right effort to bring this to the middle, where you can gradually pursue your goals, objectives, or interests through wise decision making, where you're not chasing, but you're not dull and lethargic either. If you get happy and excited when you accomplish a goal, and you get angry and frustrated and irritated when you don't accomplish your goal, that's not actually a goal. That's a craving, desire, attachment masquerading as a goal. You would like to get to the point where you're gradually pursuing a true goal, a true interest, but you're not basing your feelings on whether you accomplish it or not. If you're 80% of the way to your goal and you're like, I haven't met my goal here. If you get angry and frustrated, then it's not an actual goal. It's a craving, desire, attachment. Your mind's longing, yearning for that. You're wanting and expecting that. But if you get 80% of your way to your goal and you're like, I could maybe add some more time here, give my timeline some more time, and I could maybe accomplish this goal. Or maybe I could add more resources to be able to accomplish this goal. Or you know what? I'm actually fine with the 80%. I don't need to go any further. I'm just completely fine with this 80%. And now you can maintain your peace and your joy, your contentedness. That's a true goal. Because if you understand the universal truth of impermanence, you're not going to always meet your goals. It's not possible. I'm here in the USA and I came here to teach a bunch of classes, and students have brought me here to be able to teach some classes. And I've taught 2 classes so far. And each one of these places that I go to teach, the plan is to set up our camera, set up our sound equipment, and actually live stream the classes from that location. But both of the locations that I went to, I wasn't able to live stream. The first one, there was a problem with the sound system. I couldn't live stream. The second one, we actually showed up really late. We were in a traffic jam. It was supposed to take us 40 minutes to get there. It ended up taking us 2.5 hours to get to where we were going because of this parade that they had in San Francisco. And they had a lot of the roads shut down and we couldn't get through, right? So it took us 2.5 hours to get there. I got there literally 5 minutes before the class actually started. I had no time to set up the live streaming, right? So I went there with the goal of live streaming, fully realizing that that may or may not actually happen. And when I showed up and I was there 5 minutes before class, I was like, you know what? Let me just set up the computer, the projector, and the screen. That's really all I need to get this class started. And now I can start class, right? And I can maintain my peace and maintain my joy because I wasn't longing, yearning, wanting, and expecting to get there at a certain time and longing, yearning to actually live stream. So you need to be able to find this middle with each individual situation through having goals, objectives, or interests that you're gradually pursuing through wise decision making, fully realizing in some situations you're not going to be able to accomplish that particular goal. And if you're not craving and longing, yearning for it, you can maintain your happiness. But if you're also not on the other side where you could care less about what's going on and you're not really pursuing certain objectives in life, then you can maintain your peace and joy. You can work towards certain goals and objectives through wise decision making, finding that middle. And now when you're in the middle, it'll feel like the mind is taking a breath of fresh air. Okay. So this is the middle way, and you can apply it to all parts of your life. And I gave you some examples of that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop here. This is all I have to share with you guys for today's class, and see what questions you guys might have. If there's certain things that you're challenged with and you having difficulties finding the middle, we can talk about that. Or if you have questions about the teaching itself, about what is the middle way, we can talk about that. Or if you have questions about any other part of the teachings of the Buddha, we can discuss that as well. So if you have questions, again, at the temple, you can just turn on the microphones and you'll be able to ask your questions. But if you're in Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, you can put that in the comment section. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand, unmute your microphone, and ask any and all questions you like that way. So let me know what questions you guys have. Hey, I'm not.
Am I audible?
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Uh, Yes, I had a question about the middle part. Um, is there any situation where you can't walk in the middle for?
Is there any situation where you can't walk in the middle? It sounds like your mic might have cut out. Um, but that's what I heard from you. Okay, it looks like the mics might have cut out. They're impermanent.
Yeah, I think this one is working.
Okay, perfect.
Uh, so, for example, if you have like an addiction, let's say alcohol, or not necessarily an addiction, right? Like, let's say maybe you drink like once a week or something of that sort, right? How do you know what is the middle exactly? Like, how do you know, okay, once a week is not enough, or maybe it's too much, either of these two things, or similar situations, right? Where it might be a vice or something that's overall unhealthy for your life, but it provides enjoyment to you. So, how do you decide in such situations, like what you should do?
Sure. So if you're drinking any amount of alcohol, you're not in the middle because alcohol is like poison. And when you're putting that into the body, it's affecting your mind and it's creating difficulties and struggles in your day to day life. So if you're even drinking once a year, the mind is not in the middle with that. So you need to be able to get rid of any kind of substances like that as part of this path. If you're interested in getting to the enlightened mental state, where the mind's completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. This is a permanent mental state that you can accomplish. An individual will never get to that while they're drinking alcohol. So any amount of alcohol, the mind's not in the middle. So the way that you understand this is you can see that when people drink alcohol, they function in ways that is unwise and they make unwise decisions that is impacting their life. So with that kind of thing, you would like to get rid of it 100%. So coming to the middle would be to have things like water and fruit juices and other types of drinks that are going to hydrate the body. That's the purpose of putting liquid into the body, is to hydrate the body. But because of the mind's sensual desire, that the mind's trying to get pleasure through the tongue, in this particular example, that there's this longing, yearning for this substance of alcohol. So there's no amount of alcohol that would be the middle way for you here. And like you were saying, that you might right now, you're saying you're enjoying the ingesting of alcohol. That's the mind's craving, desire, attachment, that it can't have fun, it can't enjoy things unless it has this alcohol. Where what the Buddha is teaching you to do is to eliminate craving, desire, attachment. I taught this 2 weeks ago in this program, where when your mind's longing, yearning, and trying to form its feelings based on something, then you can only be happy when the mind's getting what it wants. You need to learn how to enjoy wholesome things, where you can enjoy a fruit smoothie, or you can enjoy coconut water, or something like this, where you're not trying to put a substance into the body because this is just polluting the environment and it's polluting the mind. And now you're not going to be able to have awareness of mind or mindfulness to be able to practice these teachings. If you don't have mindfulness or awareness of mind, you're not going to be able to make wise decisions. This is why people end up experiencing difficulties and struggles, because they might be taking alcohol or drugs, and now their mind is not making wise decisions, and you experience unwholesome results or unwholesome karma in your day to day life.
Yes, understood.
Okay. So we have some questions coming in on YouTube. This one is saying, this is a basic question about meditation, not one that's focused on today's lesson. Whenever I try to focus on my breathing, I immediately become too aware of it and forget how to breathe normally. I can't find a natural breathing rhythm once I start focusing on it. Is there any way to get rid of this feeling or something else I can focus on during meditation? All you need to do here is you need to do a little bit of practice with your breath. I used to have to do this too, that before I started meditating, I would just spend some time with my eyes open, just getting used to breathing. So most people in the unenlightened state without any kind of training, they actually breathe very shallow and very rapidly. So when I talk about in meditation, when I say develop a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath that's not forced or controlled, a natural breath. What I'm talking about there is a nice, slow, gradual breath. And you're going to need to practice this outside of meditation, where you get the body and the mind used to breathing in this way. So you'd like to just, breathe in through your nose. You're probably not going to hear me here. Maybe you can because because I'm sick, but I'm just going to try to exaggerate my breath a little bit, and maybe you can hear it on the microphone, where you just sit with your eyes open and you'd like to kind of get used to breathing like that, where oftentimes in the unenlightened state, we breathe very shallow and very rapidly. So you would like to learn how to breathe this way, where the body and the mind can be comfortable with it. It might take you 5 or 10 minutes to kind of do this breath exercise prior to ever meditating. And now, as you get comfortable with breathing, then you close your eyes and you start focusing on the breath. So you still would like to do what it is that the Buddha taught, which is focus on the breath. And anytime the mind moves off the breath, you cut that off and let it go and come back. But you need to work with your breath to develop a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Okay. That feels really slow, but now I know what to practice. Yeah, it's going to feel slow and it's going to feel awkward because the body and the mind's not used to that. So you're going to need to practice it outside of meditation. When I first started breathing this way, I thought I was going to die because I was breathing so slow. But now I can't imagine breathing any other way. So you would like to do this where you're breathing very slow and gradual, and the body gets used to breathing this way. And then there's going to be a gap between the inhale and the exhale, and you're going to observe that gap. And then you exhale just very gradually out of the nose. So you're going to need to do this several times. I had to do it for like a full week or so, before I was actually really able to put it together with meditation. So it's going to feel slow. It's going to feel different. It's going to feel awkward. And the mind's not going to necessarily like it because it doesn't like change. But this is what you need to be able to do in order to be able to get the mind to slow down. Because in the unenlightened state, the mind has this craving, desire, attachment, where it wants to go, 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 go. And you're just kind of nose to the grindstone. Go, 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 go. But if you allow your breath to be short and shallow during meditation and you focus your mind on that, then your mind's going to keep go, 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 go. But if you slow the breath down and now you focus your mind on that, it'll actually slow the mind down and you'll be able to be more consistent and steady and stable in your meditation, but outside of meditation too. This is the training that the mind needs. Whereas if you just allow the breath to continue to be rapid and shallow, then your mind never gets the training that it needs to slow down. So that therefore, outside of meditation, you're going to keep go, 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 and it's not going to produce wholesome results for you. Okay. Any other questions that you guys have? Anything else you'd like to ask about or discuss? Okay, I don't see any other questions anywhere. So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to end class by thanking all of you guys for joining. Thank you for understanding that my voice is not so healthy right now. There's some impermanence here, but I'm working on getting healthy, taking some medicine here, and eating good food here in the USA. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you for understanding the voice. Next week, I'm going to be in chapter 7, which is titled The 5 Precepts, a Householder's Guide to Daily Practice. This is where you're going to learn 5 impactful decisions that you could make either wisely or unwisely, and it's going to produce either wholesome or unwholesome results for you. If you've heard that the Buddha taught no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, and no intoxicants, this is actually not true. That's not the teachings of the Buddha. That sounds like black and white. It sounds like rules and commandments. The Buddha actually didn't teach that way. His teachings are much more illuminating. His words that he uses are going to help guide you much more on these particular types of decisions. So I'm going to share with you his original words on the 5 precepts. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to relate it to your day-to-day situations that you encounter on a day-to-day basis and show you how to take these 5 precepts and apply it to day-to-day decisions that you actually make on a regular basis. So whatever you do today, have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day. Perhaps we'll see you next time. Take care. Sawadee krap.
Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.